This is the gospel according to the IRS, Breaking Points and Church Financial Updates. And now, here's the authority, Dr. Michael Chitwood and Breaking Points.
I'm Michael Chitwood. Welcome to Breaking Points. As we've been talking about offerings coming in, the tithes and offerings coming in, and you call them what you want to call them, but the IRS just says they're nothing but pure donations. So we can refer to them as tithes and offerings, and I certainly believe in tithes and offerings, as most of you do. But the main point about this session is that we need to make sure that you understand how to do it. So I'd like to give you some points of consideration. There's a lot of these. So I hope you grab a pad and pen. Let's get started with some breaking points, because this is certainly breaking news. It's important for you, ladies and gentlemen, to realize that you are under the mandate of the Internal Revenue Service and that you must comply with all laws of the land. Even the book of Romans 13:1-6 is pretty clear. It says, obey all the laws of the land. Render that unto Caesar, that is Caesar's. And it also says, submit yourself to the governing authorities. So we're under a mandate that we must do things right, decent, and in order. With that, I have some points of consideration that I want to give you today that I think is going to help you. These are pretty long, so I want to take these a little slow. I want you to make sure that you get them down. Number one, all funds, tithes, offerings, special love offerings, building funds, missions, whatever you call it, the IRS says they're just donations. All funds that you receive must go in an offering envelope. Tell me why. We discussed it in our several series before this. Why? Because I need a concise, complete, verifiable audit trail. That's number one. All funds must be deposited into the church bank account. Let me give you a point there. You understand, ladies and gentlemen, that all funds, even though you have a building fund, must go into the general fund, and then whatever that money was for building fund, we'll write a check from the general account to the building fund account. Then I've got a good audit trail of where the money came in and where the money went out. So number one, all funds collected or deposited must come from an offering envelope. Number two, one of the most important things that you can have on your envelope this day. I don't know if you're like me, but in my business, in my ministry, I like to refer to it as a ministry, although it's a business, it's a ministry. And I thank the Lord every day for the wonderful group of clients that He's given to our firm. Thousands and thousands of clients. And we thank the Lord very much for our clients that He's entrusted us with. But I like to make sure that you understand that there are people out there that will sue you. Now, not us. I'm not speaking of us. I'm talking about the first word that they teach you these days when you're born, when you're a baby. They teach you the word sue. Everybody is sue. You did this, I'm going to sue you. You did that, I'm going to sue you. I'll call my lawyer and I'll sue you. One of the things that we found is a lot of churches are being sued for people that gave tithes and offerings, and they're wanting their tithes and offerings back after they leave the church. Now, you know we've already allocated and appropriated and spent that money, don't you? I mean, the church has. So now you're faced with maybe a lawsuit, expensive legal fees. No one gets rich on that except the attorneys. You know that as well as I do. So maybe there's a way to help prevent that. I want you to put down number two with your pad and pen, and that's this. You must have a disclaimer on your offering envelope. You must have a disclaimer on your offering envelope. And can I give you that disclaimer at this time? Did you finish that one okay? Number two is you must have a disclaimer at the bottom of your offering envelope. For those of you that have our system, that offering envelope is in there, and it will help you as far as the offering envelope that you should use. Let me give you this disclaimer if I can. It says that this church, this institution, this organization sincerely appreciates your financial support. However, the board of directors, trustees, elders, deacons, or whoever runs the church reserves the right to redirect all funds of the ministry to the area of the ministry most needed. Did you get that disclaimer down okay? I feel like I need to give it to you one more time. This disclaimer is so important, and it's printed right at the bottom of your offering envelope, your tithe envelope. And it says this: we sincerely appreciate your financial support. However, the board of directors, trustees, elders, or deacons reserves the right to redirect all funds of the ministry to the area of the ministry most needed. Because if you're not careful, people will sometimes designate all of their offerings to other things, and you won't have any money to even pay utilities or the main expenses of the church. So designated gifts is a problem with the church these days, and you as a church check writer, you must make sure that you control it. How do you control it? Because you have knowledge, training, and teaching of what they must know as members and visitors and friends of the church. So it's important for you to make sure in designated gifts that you have a disclaimer on your offering envelope. Number 3, you must have at least 3 people to count the money that's unrelated. Can the pastor be one of the counters? No. Can the pastor's wife? Yes, if she's unrelated to the other 2 people. I like 3 people counting the money. What I will not accept is one lady counting the money on her dining room table. That's not going to work. I want you to change that. Why? We need to make sure that we're above any type of criticism that may come. So therefore, as we examine the first 3 of points of consideration, many, many more of these that I'm going to be continuing. But for right now, you've got 3 strong points. Number 1 is that you must put all the money in an offering envelope. Number 2, you must have a disclaimer. And number 3, you need 3 people to count the money that's unrelated. Until next time, this is Michael Chitwood, and I'll see you tomorrow on Breaking Points.
Breaking Points gives you the latest IRS updates and tax law. Pastor, if the IRS came to your church today, what would you say? If you really want your house of worship in order, call 1-800-345-9117.